Hello everybody, it's been a long time since I posted a video on this channel, so I thought I would take this opportunity while we're all working from home in this lovely coronavirus lockdown here in Sydney, Australia. I thought I'd take this opportunity to put a video up of my community tank. This is my 4-foot custom tank. It's 4x2x2, well, less a bit on the edges where I've had that custom made to have that nice edge on it. And the purpose of today's video is I'm going to change the heater that's on this tank because the one that's in there has taken on a bit of water, which is disappointing because it's a heater I've always known and trusted as the Eheim Jaeger heater. I've had them over the years, and I find that in very recent times, say 2-3 years ago, since I've been having these, they've actually all done this, taken on a bit of condensation on the inside, which affects their accuracy because the thermostat corrodes, and I've found I get a bit of a variance in temperature on this at the moment now that it's winter here, so I'm going to change it. So I've always stuck to what I know with aquariums, and because things are changing in these modern times, I've had to go away from my standard units of measure in filtration and heating and all that sort of stuff. So I've changed up my under gravel filters and AquaClear hang-ons for a Fluval FX4 on this tank. So, well, not this tank specifically, but in the past that's what I've used and always had good experiences with. So what I've got on this tank here is the Fluval FX4 under there. It's a good filter. It does a large amount of water turnover. For this size tank, it's plenty good enough. I find that it probably lacks the refinement for the water quality in terms of actually polishing the water. There's not a lot of room to install polishing pads and stuff like that, but that's not normally a problem unless there's a bacterial bloom or a heavy feed goes through, so it does maintain the water pretty happily. This up here is the air pump that I use. It's the Shago. That's one of the best air pumps I've ever owned. They've been around a really, really long time. They're a little bit more pricey than most, conventional air pumps, but if anybody wants an air pump they want to buy only once and have it operate silently and efficiently, that is the best air pump money can buy. That's what I think anyway. It does this 2-foot depth with a 3-foot air stone, no problems. And that's been running, I've had that one for about 2.5 years now, almost 3 years. And it's still as silent and as powerful as the day I bought it. Oh, there's Barney. He doesn't normally come out during the day. Come out to say hello. This tank, talk about the inhabitants, there's a school of angelfish in here which, surprisingly enough, don't bash each other. They've reached their almost mature size, and well, except for that one that gets picked on, the smaller runty koi angel gets a little bit picked on because he's a bit smaller than the rest, but for the most part that school of angelfish gets along. They get along with the discus as well. There's a few discus in here. Where are they all? The biggest fish in the tank, and they always seem to disappear on me. Oh, there they are, up the top here. So there's a few discus fish in here. We've got some clown loaches, the angels, a school of Raminos tetras. Enough for it to look busy, but not to be too overcrowded, because there's quite a lot of fish in this 4-foot tank. So a lot of them I've had for a long time and can't part with, and I can't really fit a bigger tank in this lounge room. So I've had to just make do with the numbers that are in there at the moment. Also, strangely enough, there's a pair of ghost knives in here. There's a black ghost knife that lives in this log on the left-hand side. Just a standard black ghost knife, about 15 to 20 centimeters. And in this log over here, there's a blotched ghost knife. It's a brown ghost knife with black spots and white patches. It's quite a interesting fish, but true to their nature, they're only going to hide during the day. I'll try and get a bit of a view of him in here. You can't really see the differences in colour, unfortunately. Without him being outside, you can sort of see his spots there. So I'm assuming he's a male, and this one over here is a female, because this female needed a home and had nowhere to go other than, down the porcelain pond. So I took it on and was really worried about having the two together, and they've actually gotten along really well and sometimes share the same cave, so I'm assuming I've got a pair. Anyway, I'll take the top off this tank and I'll show you the heater and why we're changing it. Alright, so I've got the top off the tank, which is super heavy. The lighting I'm using is one of these Fluval smart lights paired up to the the app which runs the light on and off automatically. It's been really good. I find it doesn't produce much algae, like some cheaper LED lights produce a lot of algae in your tank, so pretty happy with that. It's very bright for a tank of 2 foot of depth as well. Alright, so this is the heater at the back here. As I said, I've had these for a long time. They're probably one of the first heaters I had experiences with. This is the Eheim here. The original ones I was using were like a green colour with yellow writing from memory. I was very young at that time, so if memory serves best. And they were bulletproof. You could have them on, plug them in, dry, no water, and throw them straight into your tank and they wouldn't shatter. They were pretty good. But I've had 2 of these models now. This is I had one of the generations before which didn't have the red trim tab. It had like a grey dial from memory on top with the blue. It was a flatter blue dial. This is the 2 dial version. You can see there's a bit of algae on here. I haven't done my best to keep the thing clean. But see here, it's taken on a lot of condensation. And I'm finding that as the condensation sits inside that heater, it corrodes the little thermostat inside and it doesn't become as accurate as it once was. You can even see it's gone right in front of that LED light and it's gone cloudy and there's a bit of algae growing inside there. So I'm pretty disappointed with that. That's a pretty poor result from a heater that only just barely submerges in this tank because it's, the best part of 2 feet long. It's just under, I think it's 50 centimeters and the tank's a 60 centimeter depth. So with gravel in the tank, it sits pretty much just at the surface of the water, so it's not heavily submerged. However, I've done some calling out to people in groups and stuff, and I've done some research, and they've redesigned the top of this heater with the new model they've brought out in the Thermocontrol E. This is a 300 watt heater, which is supposed to do 1,000 litres. The new one is it's a 400 watt version, which does 1,200 litres. So I've done that just to make it more of a stable temperature. So I'll go and pull that one out of the box. I'll show you what the box looks like. I've just unplugged this, let it cool down so I don't turn it into a steam rocket as I pull it out of the tank. I'll let it cool down and I'll go and show you the new one. Okay, so this is the new heater that's going in this tank. As you can see, it's the Eheim Thermocontrol. It's the electronic version. There's only 1 dial on these heaters now. There's no adjustment for calibration because they're done from factory, which I think is going to help this stay more waterproof because there's not as many gaps where the seals could leak. As you can see, this is the 400 watt version. It's got a 1.7 meter core, which is always good with tall tanks. And if your sump's not on the side where your power points are, it's good for 1,200 litres. And it's about the same length, it is the same length as the 300 watt version, so I might as well go the bigger version, or the more capacity if it's the same size, just makes sense to go that way, more efficient. So I'll just slide it out of the box and show you what it looks like out of the packet. Okay, so this is a fairly familiar experience. If you've had these Eheim brand heaters before, the packaging is really no different on the inside. You've got that instruction manual, the heater itself, you've got the suction cup with the bracket attached to here. These, in my experience, have lasted about 2-3 months, and then they go hard and they just no longer secure the heater to the glass. So hopefully this has changed as well. They feel a bit more pliable than the previous generations, so hopefully that's changed. This here is something I've wanted to talk about. I used to work in aquarium shops before I changed careers, and I used to find a lot of people actually kept this on the bottom of their heater. They attached it to the bottom there and then had that sit inside the gravel to keep it stable, thinking that's what it was for. It's actually just to hold the thing upright inside the packaging while it's being shipped. So you can do that if you want to. It's just quite a exotic looking device to have sitting at the bottom of your heater in your tank. I'd recommend just throwing it away with the packaging, but that's what we've got here. Quick look at the heater. This here is the little element here that reads whether the heater is getting too hot, from what I'm gathering, because that's a new addition compared to the old one. You've got your indicator light here, which if you've had these before is different now. Red means it's heating and green means it's at the set temperature. The diagram, everything on the top here looks the same as always, except the capacity is greater because it's the 400 watt version. And here you can see this is the temperature adjuster at the top here. I like to run my tank around 28 to 29 degrees, so I'm just going to set it between there. There we go. And as you can see, there's no more calibration module or adjuster on the top of that. So let's go and sit this inside the tank to let it acclimate. With these bigger heaters, I always recommend, especially right now it's cold weather outside, don't just drop it straight into your tank and then plug it in. Let it sit for 5-10 minutes just so the glass heats up to the ambient temperature of the aquarium and then plug it in. So it doesn't, these are pretty solid heaters, but even in still it's good practice just to let it acclimate before you switch it straight on. So let's go pop that inside. Okay, so I've got the new heater in. It's going to be impossible to see it up amongst all this hydro and val, but it's at the back there. And from what I can see, the light is green right at the top there, which means it's at the temperature it should be at, which is good. I set it to 28 degrees. It's my big blue discus is looking pretty unhappy. He's getting picked on by his mates. So I've put some treatments in the water just to try and bring him back. But yeah, so that's that one. Let's see how we go. I'll use this video upload as a sort of a reference guide as to how long I've had the heater in the tank for. And see how long it lasts. Hopefully this is a good outcome because it'll re-inspire me to continue using the product. Because the last two have not done that. Anyway guys, thank you for watching this video. I can't really do a review on it because I've only just put it in, but it's more of a crude unboxing video plus showing you guys what fish I keep in my community tank. There's one of my ghost knives, he was out a second ago. Hard to catch them. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching.